Sam Harris, the neuroscientist, philosopher, best-selling author, says that you have no free will. That every choice that you've ever made, every decision and every single moment that you thought you were in control, that was predetermined by physics and brain chemistry before you were even aware of it.
No one authored themselves. No one created themselves. No one can directly regulate the effect of every influence that they had or didn't have. You know, it's like the only thing you've got is your brain and its states, your genes, and the totality of environmental influences.
But what if the latest research in biology and quantum physics suggests that he's fundamentally wrong? What if consciousness isn't just a product of matter, but actually shapes it? What if you're not a biological robot just watching your life unfold, but a creative force participating in reality itself? I'm going to show you research from Princeton, Google's and peer-reviewed neuroscience that suggests Harris is missing something profound. Not because I want to attack him, I genuinely respect his work, but because the implications change everything about the power to transform your daily life. And by the end of this video, you're going to know why consciousness might not be what neuroscience and science thinks it is. But before we challenge Sam Harris, we have to understand what this argument is and why it's so compelling. Because this isn't just philosophy. This is about whether you can actually have power over your life. Harris has a PhD in neuroscience from UCLA. He's a multiple-time award-winning bestseller, hundreds of thousands of podcast subscribers, potentially millions. He's not a fringe thinker, and he's one of the most compelling intellectuals of our time. And his position on free will is crystal clear. It's an illusion. Here's his logic. Every thought, every intention, every decision that you make is the inevitable result of prior causes. Your biology, your environment, the laws of physics, your childhood conditioning. The exact pattern of neurotransmitters in your brain right now is as a result of your prior experiences. When you chose to watch this video right now, well, Harris would say that isn't really much of a choice. It was billions of prior causes, your interests, your algorithm, your current brain state, all colliding to produce an outcome that felt like a choice in the moment, but it was actually inevitable. And here's the kicker. He says that consciousness itself is just brain activity. You're not a soul. You are just a brain inhabiting a body, and a brain that has awareness of it, a biological computer running genetic and environmental programs. Think about it. When a computer chooses between options, we don't think that it has free will. It's following code. And Harris says that we are the exact same, just more sophisticated biological machines. Now, if Harris is right, what does that say about everything that we talk about on this channel and everything that conscious people and transformation people speak about? Personal transformation, conscious creation, taking responsibility for your reality. If you're not actually choosing, if you're just watching predetermined brain chemistry unfold, then what's the point in growth work? Harris would say that those things still happen and have effects, but you don't choose them. Prior causes make them happen. The meditation works, but it was always going to happen. It's a coherent worldview, internally consistent, and it's based on real neuroscience. But here's where it gets interesting. Harris's determinism works perfectly in a clockwork universe, where every particle follows predictable laws, where if you knew every position and momentum, you could calculate the entire future. But we don't live in that universe anymore. We live in a quantum universe, and at the quantum level, something strange happens. genuine randomness exists. This isn't about what we can measure, it's about what is. Particles don't have definite properties until they interact with something, and quantum events are truly probabilistic. Now, Harris knows this, and his response is actually brilliant. He says, fine, maybe there's quantum randomness, but randomness doesn't save free will. If your choices are random, they're still not yours. And logically, that makes sense. Random isn't the same as chosen. But here's what changes everything. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest it's not actually random at all. It just looks random because we can't see the deeper mechanism. This is called Bohmian mechanics, or pilot wave theory. Imagine particles don't always have definite positions, but they're guided by invisible wave patterns we can't directly observe. What looks like randomness is actually hidden order, like a surfer riding invisible waves. Some physicists love this interpretation, others hate it, but it's mathematically sound and predicts the same experimental results. So maybe the universe is deterministic at levels we can't see. Maybe it's genuinely random, or maybe this is where Harris's worldview cracks. Maybe consciousness itself influences which quantum possibilities become real. Because Harris's entire framework depends on consciousness being passive, just watching, never participating. If consciousness can influence quantum processes, if your awareness shapes reality even at a microscopic scale, then his whole worldview collapses. So the question becomes, is there evidence that consciousness affects quantum systems? Well, what I found might surprise you. Now, what I'm about to share is controversial. Some of this research challenges mainstream assumptions, but it's real science, peer-reviewed, replicated, and published in legitimate journals. It points to something profound. Let's start with the most solid evidence. Quantum effects in the brain. Inside every neuron, there are tiny structures called microtubules. For decades, we thought they were just scaffolding, the cell's skeleton. But recent research completely changed that picture. In 2025, researchers proved that microtubules are functional targets of anesthetics, and that disrupting their quantum processes eliminates consciousness. Here's why this matters. When you're anesthetized, you don't just fall asleep, you lose consciousness completely. But for over a century, science couldn't fully explain how anesthetics work. The new research shows aesthetics bind directly to microtubules and disrupt quantum coherence. When quantum processes stop, consciousness disappears. This doesn't prove consciousness is quantum, but it shows quantum processes are essential for conscious experience. And these effects happen at body temperature. Something skeptics said that was impossible. But it gets stranger. In 2022, researchers in Dublin found evidence of quantum entanglement in living human brains. Under specialized MRI techniques, they detected quantum signatures that correlated with consciousness. The signal was strong during waking awareness, but diminished during sleep. Some physicists question the interpretation, but no one disputes that the signal exists. And when the quantum effects correlate directly with conscious awareness, that's telling us something important. But here's the research that directly challenges Harris's worldview. Multiple experiments now show that human consciousness can measurably affect quantum systems. From 2023 to 2025, researchers tested whether consciousness specifically, not just physical measurement, collapses quantum wave functions. They used quantum random number generators with 3 conditions: observed by humans, unobserved, and observed by cats. The results? When humans consciously observed the quantum data, it affected the responses later. When cats observed it, or when it stayed unobserved, no effect. The probability this happened by chance, less than 1 in 1,000. This suggests something unique about human consciousness, something that goes beyond just physical interaction. Dr. Dean Radin, chief scientist at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, has spent the past 45 years researching consciousness and physics. His experiments show that focused human attention can increase quantum entanglement between photons beyond what standard physics predicts. And then there's the Global Consciousness Project. Since 1998, quantum random number generators at 70 locations worldwide have been monitoring whether global events that synchronize millions of minds affect physical randomness. During major events, 9/11, natural disasters, global celebrations, the randomness shows structure. The odds that this is coincidence? Less than 1 in a trillion. Each piece of evidence has limitations, but put together, they point to something remarkable. Consciousness might not just observe reality, it might be participating in creating it. Now, let's connect the dots. Sam Harris's worldview requires consciousness to be entirely produced by brain chemistry, a passive observer watching predetermined events unfold. But if the evidence that we've explored is valid, quantum processes in microtubules are essential for consciousness, and quantum entanglement occurs in conscious brains and correlates with awareness. Human consciousness can influence quantum systems in ways that physical measurement alone cannot. Number 1, quantum processes in microtubules are essential for consciousness. Number 2, quantum entanglement occurs in conscious brains and correlates with awareness. Number 3, human consciousness can influence quantum systems in ways physical measurement alone cannot. And number 4, global coherent consciousness correlates with changes in quantum randomness. If any of this is true, then consciousness isn't just a product of matter, it's a participant in how matter behaves. But what if consciousness itself is more fundamental than Harris assumes? What if it's woven into the quantum substrate of reality itself? Then you're not separate from the creative forces of the universe. You are those forces, experiencing and exploring themselves. This doesn't mean naive free will, some ghostly self making uncaused choices. Maybe every decision does have prior causes, but if consciousness is fundamental, then those causes include your awareness, your attention, and your focused intention. You're not outside the causal web, you're an active thread in it. Here's what I know from both cutting-edge science and ancient wisdom traditions. Whether or not we fully understand the mechanism, we can prove that consciousness has creative power in our lives. When you believe that you're a biological robot, you act like one. You wait for life to happen to you, and you see yourself as a victim of circumstance. But when you understand consciousness as fundamental, as creative, everything changes. The practices that work, meditation, visualization, conscious intention, they work regardless of whether we understand why. We know meditation reshapes your brain, we know focused attention changes neural structure, and we know that intention affects the outcomes. Ancient traditions always taught consciousness is primary. Your inner state creates your outer reality. Maybe quantum physics is rediscovering this truth in the language of science. So whether the universe is deterministic or quantum, or something you haven't quite imagined yet, your awareness does matter. Your awareness and your attention shapes the brain, your behavior, and your experiences. And quite possibly the fabric of reality itself. That's not an illusion. That's your power. So is Sam Harris wrong? I think he's captured half the truth brilliantly, but he's locked into a materialist framework that treats consciousness as an output when the evidence suggests that it might be an input. You are not a puppet of physics. You are not a biological robot. You are conscious awareness expressing itself through matter, and that awareness has creative power. The question isn't whether you can have free will in some absolute sense. The question is, what will you create with the consciousness that you have? If you want to explore how to harness your consciousness for real transformation, lasting transformation, not as wishful thinking, but as a disciplined practice grounded in both ancient wisdom and modern science, subscribe to the channel. This is Learn to Soar, where we bridge the scientific and the spiritual to help you actually transform your reality and change your life. Because you're not just here to watch your life unfold. You're here to create it. You're here to live it, experience it, and shape it. Now, thank you so much for spending the time with me. It's been a real honor and a pleasure. This is Learn to Soar, and let's learn to soar together. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening or day. Goodbye.